Hello, I'm Geoff.
And I'm Patrick.
And for those sharp-eyed amongst you...
My hair's got a bit more colour than usual.
It has,
and my accent's changed.
Yeah, you're looking great.
Yeah.
We're missing a man.
We are missing a man.
You'll probably be... What time are we on now here in the UK? We're on 20 to 12 in the morning. So I think it's 2 hours ahead in Greece where he is.
Something like
probably
that. On a beach, having a drink.
Probably 3 pina coladas in, on a beach somewhere by now.
The git.
Yeah. Never mind. I was there in July, so I can't really whinge that he's doing it now. But yeah, so we've no Ross today, sadly. And talking of sadly. Yeah, before we get on with the juvalities of the show, I watched 2 really disturbingly sad videos over the weekend.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that made me really... I felt worried and anxious and sad, and it's been plaguing me for the last couple of days now. And the 2 videos I'm going to talk about are, one of them is how to play kill team, and the other one is how to paint your kill team. And it's poor Sophie, who seems to look like she's been potentially held hostage at Games Workshop. Do you know what? I understand making videos that look like the real world when you're a big company aren't easy. So if I come off the joke for a moment, although it also does look like Sophie is pretending she's got Stockholm syndrome in the hope that they'll go easy on her. She's thinking if a frayed interest in kill team a lot, maybe they won't make me learn Necromunda. And then, I know making corporate videos can't be easy. And I know you filmed corporate things, and it's always people who are doing their best to seem casual and relaxed. But good God, Games Workshop, they're awful. They're absolutely awful. The content of what they're saying and what they're trying to get across,
yes,
I think is very good.
Yes.
Because
I think this kill team box, it was, I think it was announced, we filmed these a week in advance.
They were annoyingly, wasn't it? In fact, we filmed on the Monday, and then the Monday evening they announced it.
And then it got announced.
And we were like, damn it.
And we've said recently in shows, what's the best way to get into Warhammer? What's the gateway drug? And this is, I would say, the perfect...
Well, it's funny because I've had to...
way to do it.
I've had to backpedal because I always thought that kill team wasn't, because I find it quite rules intensive, and I didn't think it was the best way to get into it. But I had the realisation a little while ago that me and Bestie Tim weren't doing a very good job of playing 40k in 3 hours of night, especially because we do nothing but rabbit and drink tea. And we weren't doing a very good job of it. So we decided to scale down, and I've sort of we're now going with combat patrol now and then, boarding actions now and then, but then the majority of the time now we're going to spend on kill team. And haven't really started trying to swap up on the kill team rulebook in the last couple of weeks since its release, because I did go and buy Hivestorm. I think kill team is more gateway in than I think it was previously. Yeah, especially because I think the rules have got a little bit softer.
Yeah.
So I think it is more of a game for introducing Sophie.
Yes, and especially this box specifically, they very much made it as easy as possible to do it. So one thing I thought in the Sophie's battle report video that they did, they played with unpainted miniatures.
Yes.
It's coloured plastic in the box, so you don't have to paint them if you don't want to.
There's not a worry of trying to remember, especially if you're new and trying to remember what's yours and what's theirs.
Yeah, you've got cardboard terrain.
Or MDF, is it? Not,
is it MDF?
Yeah, which is a real new one for Games Workshop.
Yeah. So that's done for you already. Yeah. You've got your board, so you get the box, you go through some of the rules, and then you're just ready to get going. Which I think
it's
is
light rules, isn't
amazing.
it? It's not the big rule book. It's like a light way to sort of get you involved in it.
And they played with 3 models each.
Yeah.
One objective that was just get there. Yeah. Try and stop someone getting there. Yeah. Super straightforward. And that I think the best thing, like introduction into the 40k universe games wise that they've done. It's interesting that they seem to have taken the cues from board games that have miniatures over, we're a miniature manufacturing company. The miniatures are fantastic, but they're the snap fit ones. You don't even need clippers to take them off. Like,
no, and to be fair, both I don't own the Marine team from there when it used to have a name. It was like Justine or something like that, wasn't it? It was like Kill Team Justine or something. But I do own the Death Guard Heroes when they were released after their initial
I missed them.
release. Yeah.
And short of getting a recast of it or something, like, you just can't find them.
And they are nice miniatures, to be fair. The bags full of character.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, if it's your bag, every single one of them comes with an Eggling. Yeah. You know, they've got lots going for them. They've got pre-sculpted bases and things.
Yeah.
And, you know, they are good. They are probably, and the funny thing is that what I was going to say makes them better than the normal Space Marines is, I was going to say, oh, well, you know, they're all doing their own thing, but they're not really. They are all, you could replace them with normal Plague Marines and you would find you've got you know, there's already an Icon Beggar, you've got access to a number of different styles of champions. So you could put normal ones out in their place. If you are a Death Guard player and you don't own the heroes, the question is, why don't you? But if you don't own the heroes, you could rustle up something that's the same. Yeah. And it goes exactly for the same for the Space Marines. Heavy Intercessor with a bolt gun, there's one in the box. The Eliminator is a slightly different pose out of the 3 Eliminators that already exist in the box, and then the other 3 Eliminators that came out in that Phobos, like, start collecting box, you know. So all of what's in that box, all of the Marines and on both sides are replaceable, or you can mimic them with other things. But I still think that they've releasing them this way is a good way to do it. Yeah. Especially if you're completist.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I think those videos, and again, I say it all the time, if I don't like something, it's probably just not made for me. Those videos aren't made for the likes of us, even though content-wise, I think they're fine. They're fine. Yeah. Like those videos scream of a script that's been written by a committee.
Yes. And they are a box ticking exercise.
Yes, absolutely. So the one thing I picked up on, someone did in the comments of the video as well, in the battle report one, they've got sort of like, hey, we're just playing at home, we've got drinks, and there was a clear drink with some ice in it that had like a slice of lemon and lime or something like that. Someone in the comments was like, oh, amazing, gin and tonic whilst you play. Like, that's great. And that's like, they've gone, yes, we're real. But, you know, the drink, like, it moved a little bit. So I'm like, did they have fake, like, the contents of in the drink moved? I'm like, right, did they have fake ice, or did the ice melt and they kept having to replace it? Like, I need to know. That was my main focus. So yeah, they were quite funny. The interesting thing is, there was a sponsor video from Games Night, I think 9 months ago, where it was sponsored by Games Workshop, and they were given the brief of a very similar thing. Take people that have never done Warhammer before. They described it as loads of enthusiasm, no idea, and they take them to a Warhammer shop, and they go, you know, which faction do you like? One of them just happens to like the Tyranids, and another one happens to like Space Marines.
9 months ago, you say?
Would you believe that there was like a starter set that had both of them in?
I'm astounded.
I honestly, I was aghast.
Shooketh, I was.
But it was done in a much more sort of real way. Like there's someone holding a camera. It's really wobbly. And that in itself, like, that has a cinematic language of being a bit more amateur. And I say that not in a bad way. You know, somebody could be filming it on their phone. Maybe it even was filmed on a phone. Like, I doubt it, because they're a massive company with loads of cameras and all that sort of stuff. But like YouTubers do it, like Max Fosh, he does loads of videos. He's a guy that's like, I don't know my fruits, and that went viral like ages ago. He makes, you know, a crap ton of money off of YouTube, but he films everything on a phone on purpose, so it seems more real, rather than if it had really, really high production, then it's a TV show, not like a YouTube video, and that kind of thing. So they did that style of video, and there's people outside the Warhammer shop, and like there's beeped out swearing and stuff, and it's like, oh, like real people say naughty words sometimes. And there's no mention of a nephew's, cousin's, boyfriend's, dog's, sister's uncle, or whatever it is. And that video did insanely well. It has over 500,000 views.
Yeah,
it's mental. Like it's more authentic. It's more fun. And as a direct comparison between the two, I think it's really, really interesting. Like there's a space for both, definitely. I mean, I'm in the camp of I think one's better than the other. But I would expect nothing less from Games Workshop. That sort of corporate, right? Should we rent like a house to film in? No, we'll make one. And should we actually get a real person? I don't even know Sophie's her real name.
God. Mind blown now. So I have to start thinking about that.
But yes, do I care deep down? No. Like the videos were funny and just sort of like a little bit like, oh, Games Workshop, and it
mainly it came up because I like I say I tripped over it by accident when I was looking for something else, and then as soon as I seen them, I thought, oh God, these aren't great. I immediately got in touch with you and said you need to have a look at these, and then we thought, oh God, they're bad enough that we should bring them up on this show. Right then, so what else would you like to have a natter about?
Well, so we're talking about videos that were released on YouTube. It seemed that after we did our recording last week, there was a plethora of videos released on YouTube, all relating to Golden Demon.
Plethora is a good word.
It's a good word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah,
there was. Well, not everybody, but a lot of well-known YouTubers who also, no one ends of a paintbrush from the other.
Yes.
Decided to have a little bit of a chat about how they thought it went. Some of their views I thought were quite similar, and some of their views were more light-hearted, and also very much knew that that Golden Demon wasn't going to go their way before they'd even started. So it was a bit of a mix, but there was comments that I think were made in all of those videos that were that just kept reoccurring. There's one that I'll get to in a second, but it was interesting because I don't really remember. Don't get me wrong, there was a whole other thing going on at Adepticon with regards to Golden Demon, which we may or may not have accidentally sort of stepped into.
Yeah,
but there was none of these videos about. People were robbed, or this was, or the judging wasn't consistent, or anything for Adepticon, but seemed to really the hand grenade seemed to get thrown in the room really heavily for Spiel's Golden Demon.
Yeah. Do you think that? Well, yeah, because like the use of AI and 3D printing and scanning and stuff with some of the winners at Adepticon, do you think that overshadowed the judges' sort of stuff, or was it always been there?
I don't know. I think some stuff got sorted out straight away, didn't it? We talked about this off air, and it's also mentioned on. Is it mentioned on Trevorian's video? I can't now quite remember whose video it's mentioned on, about an entry that was a Lord of the Rings entry where the Gollum miniature had been scanned.
Yes.
And then the face had been changed. And don't get me wrong, I've seen that miniature. And for a teeny tiny miniature that's probably barely much more than 15 millimeters tall, it was extremely well painted. The scenery around it, the whole, and the underlighting of the lava was really good. But apparently that just got nixed.
Didn't even get judged
straight away because the fact that it was going to cause problems with
so the New Line Cinema,
New Line's license to Games Workshop, so that was taken out of the equation straight away. I think there was, and I will say it now, there is some level of bias here. From when I was working at Spiel, Artis Opus's booth becomes a bit like the hub for the painters.
For painters and stuff,
because they leave their...
so like that was mentioned in a few of the videos,
they leave their the carry cases that have been used to bring the pieces to the cabinets, then get left with us, and then a lot of the guys are also very good friends with the co-owner of Artis Opus, being Byron, and they'll be chatting with him.
Yeah,
they will also kindly sit down and sit at the demo tables, and will talk to customers and other people who are about to put they're going to put their entry in. And so that, which is really nice of the painters, that they're not being paid for it, but they give people. Well, I say they're not getting paid. They're not getting. So so it becomes quite a nice hub area for that. And one of the things from that means that I get to not speak to him on any great levels, because I'm generally very, very busy. But is you get to have Richard Gray there.
Yeah,
and we've had Richard on the show. Me and Pat have been fans of his from pretty much as soon as we started this channel.
Yeah,
we've talked about him from the very, very beginning. In fact, he was probably one of the first high-end painters with a YouTube channel that we mentioned. Just fell in love with Richard Gray's work.
Yeah,
and we had him on the show, and Richard is an absolutely lovely man. He's the absolute polar opposite to me. He's quite quiet and easygoing, as opposed to all the time like I am. But Richard's a nice person to be in the company of, and he's liked amongst all of the other painters. Rate Richard very highly, and no one ever goes, oh well, that was Richard's things, all right. He's very well thought of. So basically, what I'm getting at is when Richard's Warp Spider Eldar character that he put in didn't do as well as it was expected when we'd seen it beforehand. I seen it in the flesh before it went in the cabinet, and some of this is because it's Richard Gray. The name carries weight. As you look at it and you go, that's going to do well. And then it went into the cabinet, and although it got a finalist pin with it, I believe, it didn't go on to be treated as it was thought it was going to be. And like I say, in the nepotism and biases, it can't be helped, but all of the painters rallied around that result with Richard, and were quite annoyed at that.
I saw that a lot in the videos that I watched. I think apart from Richard's video, which he was like, Golden Demon, Spiel, ... I was there. He sort of briefly talked about his own work and more sort of talked about the experience and what it was like and all that kind of thing. But everybody mentioned his
everybody
piece,
else mentioned Richard more extensively than Richard mentioned himself. Which I think is very much goes hand in hand with the man, because he is generally very modest. Richard wasn't, and he might not like me for saying this, but as is just a natural human emotion, wasn't very happy when it didn't. But Christ, I get annoyed if the wrong brand of dog food is available in Sainsbury's and the one I want isn't there. I could get more upset than Richard did. That is like, I haven't spent 300 hours in Sainsbury's looking for it. So he was fed up, and and it go, and rightly so, because we made the remark. We made the remark the next day afterwards. I seen Richard and I said we were all really angry on your behalf in the 40-minute taxi journey on the way home, the Artis Opus gang. I said we were really angry on your behalf, man, because we really felt you should have. And Richard replied, he said, that's quite funny, because so was I in my taxi journey on the way home. But Richard, I think Richard's entry is being used as the sort of as the poster boy for poor decisions.
Because it's painted to an exceptionally high quality, but it didn't win. And so it's something I touched on a bit sort of last week. So I read out the response from is it Christian Clausen, who won silver. Well, he won in 2 categories, I think, didn't he? He won silver in 2, but in the Ultramarine and Open, and he was sort of like, why did I win? And I feel like, because I don't know what the Golden Demon judges are looking for, and usually I don't like talking about stuff that I don't really know a great deal about, because then people that do just be like, you fucking idiot. But it seems like even the painters that win don't know what necessarily what the judges are after.
And I think this was something that you were hearing from a number of sources, especially on the Sunday, was, I don't know what the formula is anymore.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny because we've had some high-level painters on here. James Tarot
TarotModelmaker.com. Yeah, he doesn't have a first name.
He doesn't have that anymore.
I think he went to Depot last week, and his legal name is TarotModelmaker.com.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
He had he was at SMC, but their customs and stuff messed up, and none of his stock made it.
No, you're joking.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Devastated. Yeah. You pay that money for that booth, and you go there, and then the company's just like, lol, no,
honestly.
Yeah.
But I'll have to speak to him about that. I didn't know that. That. But when we had Tarot on, we said to Tarot, because it became a bit of a stock question, didn't it? We said, is there a formula to winning a golden demon?
Yeah.
And if I remember rightly, I think Tarot said there might be, but I just paint what I want to paint.
Yes.
And then we asked this of Neil Hollis.
Yeah.
Is there a formula to it? And he said, yes, there is. And I think I pretty much know what it is.
Yeah.
And so I think it can be a really interesting one, because I think Richard might be feeling a little bit like at the moment where he's like, I'm not really sure what it is I'm meant to be doing now to be picking up. You know? And don't get me wrong, back in March he picked up an open.
Yeah.
I know it's not a demon, it's a plaque, it's a slightly different thing, but so it's not like he's not winning, but there was things he was entering that looked like they should have been doing better.
Yeah. So my sort of reaction to, because I don't really want to comment on like YouTubers that are making the videos and feel like they've been
because
done
everyone's
by
entitled to opinion.
Exactly.
And they've had their opinions, and good on them for deciding that they were strong enough that they wanted to put it to camera.
Yeah, and I know, like, say, Zumakito, apart from having the most exceptional beard in Warhammer, he's got a bit of
stick. Not very often I get beard FOMO, but I met him at Spiel, and I was like, oh God, I need to up my beard game a bit.
Yeah.
And my quiff game.
Oh, yeah.
It's like... He's got a 4-foot head if you take it from top of quiff to bottom of beard.
I'd love to see him just completely shaved. I wouldn't recognise him.
It looks like Carl Pilkington under all that.
So he's because he put in 2 pieces, and they've been commented on a lot.
And they were both lovely. They were really, I especially really liked his Dark Eldar.
Yes, yeah. He had some Dark Eldar, and then had the like Sigmar like squad.
Yeah, of Nurgle, what Plague Knights or whatever they're called. I'm not hugely up on AOS.
Yes, and I believe his argument was he didn't think that they were 3 levels lower than what was also painted.
Yes,
and he's very like. So essentially, I'm going to pretend I am middle management in Games Workshop, or slightly higher up, something like that. Not top dog. Games Workshop's a legacy. So Golden Demon is a legacy of Games Workshop. It's been going for a long, long time, but all the publicity, like your big YouTubers, which are on your scheme to get free models and that kind of thing, like generally the publicity that's come out of it is a bit negative.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, right, well, we're making computer games. We've got animations that are going to be on Amazon in December. We're potentially having a big new series. Like, Warhammer's like, it's fucking huge. I think it's quite hard to grasp just how big it has become. And they're sort of going after that sort of market now. I'll be like, speaking negatively with my manager facade on, I'm like, right, there's a few really, really, really passionate, incredibly good painters that will literally travel the world to enter their miniatures into these competitions.
Yep.
Is this competition like just for them? Like, and then they moan about it when they don't win?
Yeah.
Let's just sack it off. That's
the worry. I will go and say that the most legitimate argument that the big painting YouTubers made is I think I agree with the painters. I think Golden Demon needs to go back to what it used to be, which is it gets judged by the heavy metal team or members of the heavy metal team. I think I'd rather, if I was of that scale of painting, which God knows I'm not, but if I was at that scale of painting, I think I'd rather be judged by people who I sort of consider my peers.
So I've put my corporate face on again.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm pretending I'm someone else so people don't come at me. And it's not necessarily what I think so myself, but because I love Golden Demon, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I do.
And I'm so inspired looking at all the miniatures and all that sort of stuff. So I think as a business, they want to do it. Like, they don't have to do it.
No.
People hold it in such high regard because they love Warhammer. It's been going for a really long time, and you win a bloody sword. And it's great. So I just kind of thinking, right, so it's not a painting competition, it's a Games Workshop painting competition.
Yes.
So if somebody paints an orc that's blue, he's not going to win.
No.
So I think, it should be judged. I don't know if it is or not. Again, not a clue. It should maybe be judged, because it's Games Workshop, by a selection of people. I think you should always have an heavy metal painter on there that could go, well, they've done this, this, and this. That's better than what they've done.
Yeah.
But then also someone from the business side goes, well, they've like when Rich did his vampires, he painted the skin green.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah.
And they were like, Warhammer Vampire's skin is never been green.
Yeah. It's like if you painted orcs painted orcs in human flesh.
Yeah. So, and if that's like the role that Andy has, then because it's Games Workshop and they want to promote their models in the way that they sort of have, like, don't have to agree with it, but like, I think that's having someone that isn't an heavy metal painter judge a Games Workshop painting competition is fine, as long as they're not like the only person doing it, which I can't imagine they are.
Yeah.
So they had Roman Laplatte. I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly,
but which I was pleased that they brought in a guest judge.
Yeah, so guest judge. I love his work. I think it's fantastic. He's entered a ton of demons before as well, and all that kind of thing. So like, I can't see this sort of format going on forever. I feel like something's got to change.
Well, the really sad thing is when it starts to have years that have a bit of a wobble in them.
Yeah.
You start to get this thing where you can't help, and if you can help, you're a better man than me. I can't help start to go, oh, do you think that's because of that? And is that because of that? And then you start like finding blooming conspiracy theories within conspiracy theories. And it's like, and you go, like, Zumakito's team of Plague Knights or whatever we're going to call them. I can't remember the name of them. I do apologise. Some of me goes, is that a bit of going, we had a load of them last year?
You see them quite regularly, don't you?
Yeah, and even still, one picked up the Golden Youngbloods at this, and is it a bit you're going, their models have been around, they're not new, they've been around a little while now. Yeah. And they're much loved. The one on a horse is amazing. They're really well thought of, but it is getting a little bit you're going to go, don't have them winning again, because when we put them out, it looks like we make nothing else for AOS other than that. Yeah. And it gets a little bit like that, and you go, I don't know, you can go, oh, well, Space Marines win something every year. And you go, yeah, but, Space Marines are a flagship element of the thing, Yeah. And there's a lot of different chapters of Space Marines to pick from and so on. But, so... I just do want, some of me does, if I allow my brain to go to the dark side of how judging goes, is going, don't pick more of them bloomin' Nagel.
Yes.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't like to think that Games Workshop are so biased that they go, only let new things win. And I know they don't think like that, because third place in 40k vehicle was a land speeder that is pretty much, if there's any of them left on the shelf now, I'll be quite surprised. They had a Ravenwing land speeder win. Yeah. And they go, and that's been superseded with Brother Tinnitus's version. And and you think, and that's on its way, that's in its death throes of existence. And and they still let that pick up a third. So this thing of going only new models or only things that are, some of me believes that there's a little bit of that, or not that only new things, but things going, oh God, that's been picking up every year for a good 2 years now. Let's maybe give something a bit else a crack of the whip. Do I think there is some of that? Maybe, but I also like to think that some of it doesn't exist because that land speed have picked up. So
because I wonder what's gonna happen in a way with Demon, because like with the internet, with it getting more popular, and controversies that have happened and all that sort of stuff, people are generally quite on it, and Workshop are never going to be able to make everybody happy.
No,
and they shouldn't even try.
Well, I think Games Workshop, if I think of this year, especially with some of the releases, I think Games Workshop have very much looked like, from a standpoint that they are only making themselves happy.
Yes.
Because they've done things that, and with it's all old news. The Inquisitor Coaches is old news. Sanguinius Guard is all old news. But they have released things where you go, surely you must have known that when you took the wings off that, or did the wrong trousers Inquisitor, that you're going to end up with something people aren't going to like. And they did it anyway.
Yeah.
So they are ultimately, I think they are on a lot of levels increasingly getting to the point where they are more pleasing themselves.
Yes. Do you think that if Demon, so like Zumiki, so again in his video, bringing up multiple times because he sort of put like numerical figures on it. So he said 3 levels worse. There's no way my miniature's 3 levels worse. Do you think if they did, so they have their sort of category sort of system,
which is a bit confusing.
Yes, yeah, and I know it's like notable and commended and finalist pins. I feel like the orders kind of changed around a little bit. So again, it's fine. Do you think people would like it better or worse if they kept that, but then if they also introduced, hey, you painted it to this standard?
See what you mean? You mean like with Fen, where they have Journeyman and Master?
Yeah. Where, or something along those lines, So if they, they're painting videos, do battle ready, parade ready, but then imagine if somebody put in a piece and they were like, they only said it was battle ready. That's awful. So they'd have to change the names. So maybe they could have, gold standard, silver and bronze. Let's say something along those lines.
I don't know. I've got to be honest. I do think it, as much as it pains me to say it, I do think that would, especially with the way Games Workshop are nowadays, I do think if the whinging, that's not the right choice of words, people voicing their concerns, let's go with that. If people continue to voice their concerns on a strong enough platform, and one of the YouTube channels in question that has raised some concerns is a very big platform, I do wonder whether further down the line Games Workshop are going, look, if you're just going to complain about it, we'll just not bother.
Yeah.
Some of me feels like that. Because I tell you what, I think if Games Workshop didn't have Golden Demon at Spiel in the future, I don't know whether a Games Workshop would even bother turning up to Spiel. Because when you look at the size of Spiel and how heavily board game and card game and then things that are peripheral to them things exist at Spiel, I wonder whether Games Workshop would even bother. Like, if you take into consideration Birmingham Games Expo this year, they didn't turn up.
Yeah.
And I think, and of all the weird connections I have, I cut the hair of a man who works for the company that got all them glass cabinets transported out to Spiel.
Oh, right, wow.
Who moves all of this, moves all of the gaming stock and stuff around for that. And
Nottingham's a funny place, isn't it?
Weird. Yeah. And he was like, he said, that was a big operation, getting all of that stuff. I just wonder whether they just wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
Might just, because Spiel is so heavy on the board game.
Yeah.
We had the war gamers, if you will. We had a hall, But even our hall still had board games in it and card games in it. And so it's not like it was like the Wargamers hall versus the other 3, 4, however many other halls that were doing board games and card games.
Yeah.
We still didn't even have all of that hall to ourselves. So we are, in the grand schemes of...
Like Wargaming is small fry, isn't it?
In the grand schemes of something that involves rolling a dice, I think it's very easy when we think of how all-encompassing our hobby is as wargamers. It's very easy to forget we are tiny.
Yeah.
You know, we are even tiny compared to things like Dungeons and Dragons and so on.
Like, what a weird episode of our show. We're saying how massive and big Warhammer is, but also how tiny Wargaming is.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? It is funny.
But it's like both are true.
But both are true at the same time, aren't they?
Yeah. Because somebody that... Like, I said, going to Gen Con, you know, like card trading games, like the Lorcana and the Star Wars one.
You did Gen Con.
And I'm just like, wow, like that's what everyone generally cares about.
Yeah.
Like wargaming and painting, like super niche, part of a niche of another niche. You know, it's crazy. So yeah, I worry with Games Workshop, the company that it is, the stage it's currently at with the audience that it wants to attract. I worry for Golden Demon.
Yeah, and because Golden Demon...
Golden Demon's the biggest because Games Workshop do it.
Yeah, Golden Demon wouldn't get you if you were a Sophie.
Yeah.
We go back to poor old Sophie. Hope you're okay, Sophie. If we went back to Sophie for a second... If you'd never got involved, if you were just having the merest of an iota of a thought about getting into Warhammer, walking around them glass cabinets wouldn't encourage you to do it.
No.
You go, is that all I'm meant to be doing? Am I meant to be doing that? You know, it's
yeah. You'd be like, oh, can I that orc there? Can I buy that? You'd be like, no, actually, it's like a really old metal model that's not actually made anymore. And then he's gone in and sculpted loads of stuff on himself.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
see that little monster there? That's the upside down chin of a different monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do worry that, you know,
it's great that there's...
It only exists, Golden Demon exists for us. It doesn't exist for the company on a lot of levels, I don't think.
No.
It must cause them as much heartache and financial annoyance to put it on as the money it makes. My main concern is that with the feedback that they publicly receive and from big channels, and it gets loads of views because people click on controversy, that Workshop would go, fine, we're going to take away your plaything. I think that's something that could happen. It would be a massive shame, and I don't want it to happen. Like, you go into the museum at Warhammer World, and there's the board. It's like Wimbledon, where they chisel in like this person won it this year. Yeah,
and they've got all those names for the past like 20 odd years, and it's so much history and heritage, and it's great. So it would be a really, really crying shame if it did disappear. But
yeah, I think so. I would really lament the loss of Golden Demon, but I also wouldn't be sitting on my bed in shock if it was announced that they stopped it.
Yeah,
because I do.
Or if they had a break, maybe they try and tweak it. I don't know.
I think what I will say, if I go the other way of talking about the longevity of Golden Demon, at least on this side of the world, I've got to be honest. I think if it's still here next year, I've got to be honest, I think they'll just put it back on a Spiel again.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go in the UK again next year.
And I think the thing is, and don't get me wrong, I don't say this in a glib way, because flying anywhere in the world is not the cheapest thing in the world to do.
No.
But it's not amazing, because you've got to still add hotel time into it. It's not amazingly expensive or amazingly far to get your Golden Demon entry from wherever you live in the UK to Germany.
How long was the flight?
Oh, it's
hour and a bit?
Hour and a bit. It's really short.
Yeah. And then,
I'll tell you how short it is. I got on my plane. I was a bit tired. I'd had one of them night sleep, where you've got to be up early for something and then you can't quite sleep.
Yeah.
So I squeezed a haircut in before I got on the plane to go before I got in Ed's car to take me to Birmingham Airport. And I got on the plane, and you know, and I sat down, you have to put your seatbelt on, and I took off, and it was a bit busy, and I thought, I really need a wee. And I thought, I'll just wait until, until we're sort of like, up in the air a bit more. And so I've got my seatbelt on, and then I heard the ping for the seatbelt noise.
Yeah.
I went, oh, good, I can go now that way. I realised I'd been asleep, and then realised it was the ping to put your seatbelt back on.
And you were landing.
Yeah. And then I had to go all the way through security. And I was like, crossed my legs for about... Yeah, I'm 52. I'm not great at holding my bladder these days.
Yeah.
I literally was thinking, damn, I've completely slept through my opportunity to have a pee.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flight's really short.
Yeah.
So, and it goes, there's people, you can fly out of Manchester to stuff, you can fly out of London, you can fly out of Birmingham as we did.
And potentially, because it is, like, I have never entered a Golden Demon. At some stage in my life, I think it'd be fun to do so. Just for shits and giggles, and then make a video about
the journey,
my experiences afterwards. All of which I would make sure would be positive. Was it toxic positivity?
Yeah, that's the one.
Apparently, it's the thing. There we go. But I don't think I would fly to a different country to do so. I think it would stop a lot of people entering, because say if it was in Nottingham, the amount of people go, oh yeah, it's 3 hours up the road, or oh, it's just it's a Warhammer. Well, yeah, I'll do that. But when I had my cynical face on earlier, if you're looking to win and to enter, there's like a handful of people that your Neils, your Richards, your NRM Paints.
Yeah, Andy Hollis. Andy Wardles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And they travel all over the world. So, like, if they were like, oh, it's in Australia.
Yeah.
I bet they'd still go.
Yeah, I think most of them would.
And then I bet they'd go, oh, the amount of people that are not going to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a better chance of a medal. And then I bet someone would be like, cool, I can't afford the flight, so I'm just going to cycle. I know it's in 2 years, but I'll see you there.
I'll start now.
I'm going to paint on the way.
Because the problem being is, we now know that, sadly, that Warhammer World isn't a place to have it, because they tried it straight after COVID, and people couldn't get tickets.
Yes.
There were people buying tickets to go and look at other people's Golden Demons, which meant they were taking up tickets of people who were trying to enter Golden Demons.
Yeah.
There was...
and I think at the time, in a very old podcast that we did, before that was on, I think, because it had always been separate, and then it went to solo ticket, and I was like, oh, I think it should be separate. And at the time was question why, and I was like, well, because I'd feel really bad if I stopped someone entering a model. So I could look at them. It'd be nice if I could go and look at them guilt-free.
Yeah, it's a lovely chap who's on the Faith and Damnation Facebook group, Francesco.
Yeah.
He'd been painting up some really lovely Black Templars. I mentioned this on the last show.
Yeah.
He was working on them and then found out that he could get a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, so I can't ever see it coming back to Warhammer World.
No.
I can't ever see it going back to being them mini little ones that they used to do. That Rich, I wasn't even really aware of. Rich Gray mentioned was like, used to be able to do like
mini demons,
mini demons just for like vehicles, and mini demons this, and which I looked on relatively poorly.
Yes, and by people that have won
full
proper demons,
full size demons.
Yeah, because there have been some in Australia.
Yeah,
and then someone that won at Spiel might go, how many people entered that one in Australia? 6, or something, or whatever. So, it's a super interesting one, and
there's parts of Australia that have got a smaller population than the amount of people who turned up at Spiel.
yeah. Oh, dearie me. So it's super, super interesting.
Do we think, if we had to round it off with an opinion, do you think Golden Demon's days are numbered?
In its current iteration, maybe.
I think it's...
if I'm super... So you go.
I think it's a bit of a fragile vase for me.
Yes.
It's still there, it's still sitting on the table, but I think there's only so many times you can kick that table.
Yes, yeah. I think... Again, there's that manager at Workshop that's gone, this costs us loads of money. it's for a very small percentage of people for the hobby. We want it to promote like the top end of what you can do with this. Like, you know, a kid see it and go, "Oh my God, I had no idea you could do that. That's amazing." And spend loads of money on paints, and that kind of thing. But if it is overly controversial, or people are sort of complaining how it's run and with the judges, and there was a bit of, I think it was in probably the most tongue-in-cheek one of the videos was Squidmar's one, and I think they knew, like, as they were sort of saying, Games Workshop, it's like very much to quote MS Paint's Games Workshop kick my dog, sort of thing, which is hilarious. So they were like, it's rubbish and this, that, and the other, as they're showing a 360 of a model that you can see the brushstrokes in and stuff like that. So like they're fully aware of what was going on. You know, I think they got some notables and finalist pins and that kind of thing. They
didn't do awfully.
No, not at all. But something they said was like the judging and the way it's done, that everybody's kind of loitering around because little stickers go on stuff, and then things start to move in the cabinets.
I know, and I don't massively like that.
And this was something that they said as well.
Destroying.
Yes, and ideally you'd want to know on the Sunday maybe, but you kind of end up knowing beforehand that because Rich put his post up on the Saturday, saying, "I don't think I've done very well. It hasn't got like a notable or anything like that." So
it did shift though. But still.
But yeah, that was done quite early on in the process. So because it takes a while to judge, and it takes a while to take all the pictures.
It can't be easy. And don't get me wrong, I really like to say, you know, I wouldn't like it to be my job. Yeah,
and because I think, like, here I am saying, you know, in its current state, like I don't enter it. Like, what does it matter what I think? Like, who gives a fuck about my opinion? But like from a business perspective, I can imagine that it would have to change. How it would change, I've got no idea.
See, the thing you've got to wonder is, if you think about, as you know, everything's about selling.
Yeah,
we talked about this earlier on. If you've got to sell, to make, you know, to keep the lights on, or for whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
CEOs in new Aston Martins, whatever it might be.
I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
You've got it. But you go,
get that
right,
bonus.
Let's say for example, we take the Orc War Boss, whatever his name is, on the big Sharky Squig.
Oh yeah. Mosrock Scragbad.
Well done. If you take him, that won 40k single miniature.
Yeah.
And rightly so, it was bloody lovely.
Yeah.
But the question is, if we boil it down to the zeros and the ones, how much has that win meant that people have now gone out and bought that model, like, off the back of heavy metal?
Yeah. Like, off the top of my, well, let's say I'd probably not very much.
Yeah. And people going, wow.
Yeah.
Because you probably if you are looking at Golden Demon with interest, you probably are in the hobby deep enough to already know that model exists.
Yeah.
It's not suddenly become aware of because it's one Golden Demon. You already know it exists.
Yeah.
You've already probably got to be an Orc player.
Yeah.
Or at least keen on Orcs.
Yeah.
And then you see that. When it was released, there was loads of hype when the Beast Snaggers came out and so on and so forth. So you are aware of it already. But the likelihood that you've seen it painted as brilliantly as it was, and then go, do you know what? That's the miniature for me. It can't be high.
No.
It can't be high at all.
No.
So then if you do start thinking like that, you go, what is Golden Demon doing? It is essentially an increasingly rare thing for Games Work, but it is a charitable thing for the fans.
Yeah.
And like I say, if we're going to moan about it enough, or it's got to be treated with enough disdain, I don't think it would kill Games Workshop to get rid of it.
No.
And and the thing is, it's not like if they got rid of it, that would mean you never got to put your miniature in a competition before. It's been a very much a thing I haven't known that much about in the past, but from getting to know more of the painters and chat to more of the painters, Fen, you've got Fen down in Suffolk, in Bristol. We've just had the wonderful boys over at Cult of Paint have just started their own one, being MPO. There is one has just literally finished yesterday over in the Netherlands. There is another one round the corner in Belgium, if I remember rightly, which has got a long Belgian name. I can't remember the name of what it is, but there is that. If you are interested enough in putting brush to miniature to then get people to judge it and hopefully win something, it's not like you only Golden Demon is the only thing that you need.
No.
Yeah, it will mean that you've got your miniature on a table, and next door is a blooming diorama of two American guys fixing a Sherman tank in the middle of the Second World War.
Yeah.
So it becomes quite a different thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if your painting's strong enough,
yeah,
it'll still,
yeah.
We know guys that enter all of these painting competitions with Games Workshop pieces, and they're still picking up.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Alex, who I talked about previous on the last show, Alex Paints Tiny Things, who had a couple of pieces that I really liked. One of them being a squat Necromunda sniper.
Yeah.
Picked up a silver in the Netherlands.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, I was so pleased. I could congratulate him because I liked that paint job he did from the first time I seen it, and he picked up a silver there.
Yes.
So, it's not like you go, oh, if the Golden Demon goes, what will happen to my
it
GW paint? There's still places to go and do it.
It would absolutely be a shame.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be the end of competitive painting.
No, and I reckon Golden Demon would continue on in some sort of fan curated sort of thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Where they might keep the same format and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I hope that we haven't added talking about negativity about Golden Demon. It might get stopped, and then here we are curating the negative things that we've seen and talking about it, adding to that pile of negativity perhaps. But I haven't. All the videos that I've seen are people that have invested so much time into their work. Like I saw somebody, I think they did a Farsight model. I haven't seen it. There was like somebody screenshotted the text.
I've seen it.
And I think it was sort of like, I wasted like 700 hours painting this. But actually, like, I can kind of see like why would Farsight with different coloured armour win? As we've talked about in a Games Workshop competition, like in a painting competition that's not affiliated with Workshop, I'm sure it would probably do really, really well. Yeah. But yeah, it must be really hard. Like all these videos come out, generally a couple of weeks after Demon. So they've got home, they've thought about it, they made a video, they've edited it, and they put it online. And they're still quite close to it. Absolutely. So like it must be difficult. And if you genuinely think that your piece was better than someone else's that won, like it's got to be a hard pill
to swallow,
to force down.
And Zuma Keto said, was this piece 3 times, and was it as good as was it 3 times lower than this? But Richard Gray looked at it a different way, didn't he? He said, don't let other people's results put you off entering because you're thinking my thing isn't as good as that thing, and that thing didn't win either.
Yes.
Because he said it's the hook, it might be the story, it might be what you've got going on, because at the end of the day, it's all a group of people's opinions.
Yeah.
And what catches your eye.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So some amazing pieces that didn't place, and you think, oh, but that's so cool. That might appeal to me more than like the 40k vehicle or monster category. I wasn't a huge fan of because the models, I was like, not the paint jobs, great. The models, I'm like, I can't get past that big, like that Night Lord Demon Engine thing. I'm just sort of like, I don't really like the model. Like, I'd be a terrible judge.
Yeah, and that was a really great piece. I hung around with over a couple of nights. I hung around with Jamie, who had the Night Lord Demon Engine.
Yeah,
and I went and looked at it, and the painting on it was extremely good. But you are right; it's you're always you could paint a car in the nicest colour that you like, but if you don't like the car, you're always just looking straight through the colour, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I think there is always going to be a little bit of that, and that's just going to be unavoidable. I had that with second place in the Age of Sigmar, with the big hunting ogre with the antlers and everything strapped to him. It was painted beautifully, but I just didn't really like the miniature.
All the textures on the skin and the dinosaur and little scales on and stuff.
But I was like, I don't like the miniature a lot.
Yeah.
And I think, so, I hope that, in 5 years' time, Golden Demon is still here. It's still blowing us away.
Yeah.
And I think, will it ever be free of people being upset about how it was judged? No, because that's just people being people.
And yes, absolutely.
How many men on Saturday evening at the end of when the final whistle blew for the last game of football thought that their team was robbed?
Yeah.
Where the actual statistics, they weren't robbed because they got beat 3-0.
Yes, but the referee.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's you can apply it to anything, can't you?
Yes.
So, but...
anything competitive, people are going to push boundaries and moan about results.
I think the thing I will say, just talked about already, but I think if I had to pull a moan in and agree with some of the problems that the big channels had who've entered it, I agree. I'd like to see more heavy metal judges for me, but then the worry is you don't want to have heavy metal judges who are only judging things to look as good as they should be from the box, and then you end up you made it even more corporate by accident.
So
you've got to be careful of that. But these heavy metal guys paint their own things in their own time. They go off and enter Fen, and they go off and enter MTO because other than open, Golden Demon isn't really there for them, so they go and enter all these other things as well. So they know what it's like to compete as well.
Yeah.
So long live Golden Demon.
Yes, hopefully.
Just treat it kindly.
Yes, it needs nurturing.
It does need nurturing. Do you know what I do think must be sad is when, if it's just off topic, but talking about Golden Demon, but off topic must be sad is, when you've slaved away and you put your miniature in.
Yeah.
And then because I'll give an example of this. There was an extraordinarily nice Horus Heresy, an extremely nice, in the Horus Heresy category, there was a Horus pre-Ascension.
Yes.
In white armour.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, you talked about this last week.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
And you think how much your soul must have dropped when then Niels came.
Yeah.
You turn around, you look back, and Niels was there. You must be like, oh, fuck. That's the bit I think that would crush me most.
Yeah.
It's like when people go, they go, and Alex did it with that squat sniper. To put it in, I was really happy. And now I can't remember the artist's name, but the guy who entered the Palatine Enforcers, the half-open door. Yeah. He went, and then I seen that so-and-so had entered.
Because it seemed like Necromunda was a really hard-fought category this year.
It's beautiful. Everybody who was gone in for Necromunda really put their heart and soul into it. And there was some really great stuff in it.
Because you generally know that 40k and OS single miniature are going to be really tough. And then the Dire Armor and Duel, I think, always has incredible pieces. I think, maybe that one has less competition, and this one, you're playing that game. And then it seemed like lots of people going into Necromunda. Even Games Workshop said it, I think, in the ceremony at the end. I think, because I watched Rich's video and they were like, it seems like everyone thought that Necromunda would be an easy category this year, and everybody put really good stuff into it.
And the problem being, I think if we do slightly go back to the moan of, is 40k miniatures getting a bit overly simplified at the moment? The complete opposite is going on at Necromunda, where the miniatures are getting nicer, more bizarre.
Yeah.
Really are screaming out for amazingly good paint jobs.
Yeah.
I think now that they've introduced the ash wastes, you've then expanded into vehicles.
Yeah.
It's increased the scope of the things that you can enter. Because if you'd never done the ash wastes, you would have never ended up with the Escher's the Escher's character in charge of the cats wouldn't have been been that because there would have been no speeder.
Yeah.
So the expansion within Necromunda that's happened in the last 2 or 3 years, and just the really bizarre miniatures that are getting produced for it. Necromunda, I think, is gonna, unless and as fingers crossed, we now looks like Space Wolves are on the way. Unless Space Wolves really take a real turn for the real going over the top on Space Marines again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to keep seeing Necromunda being a bit of a hardcore category. And they, especially I'm already looking at Necromunda and thinking next year there's going to be 3 of them new squat bikes storming across the desert.
Yeah.
We'll go in there.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see categories like Necromundas suddenly start to become, and you know what, honestly, was a hair's breadth between gold, silver, and bronze for me in Necromunda. The 3 of them were really, really good.
Yeah.
And it showed how good it was, because when I seen Alex's sniper, I was convinced that was going to place.
Yeah.
Because I know Necromunda is normally a bit of a middle of the road category, and I seen that and I thought that's going to do well.
Yeah.
And then it didn't pick up a demon, and as as lovely as Alex is, it wasn't as good as the top 3. I love that piece, but it wasn't as good as the top 3, and Alex would say that if he was here. The quality was just...
Yeah. I don't envy being a demon judge.
No.
Like, you have so many pieces that are painted to such an incredibly high quality, and there is that subjective element to it as well. Like, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, I guess. It's like choosing like a political party or something like that.
It's your favourite child.
Yes. Yeah, but you have to pick the favourite child.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Because
and whatever party they're running for.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and then, because if you don't pick your favourite child, then your cat gets killed.
That's right,
Yes.
And Sophie knows what that's like.
Poor Sophie.
Yeah. So
I want to know if Sophie's okay.
Yeah. So then the other thing was we've got a new Games Workshop factory's been announced.
So somebody sent me an article from the hard-hitting journalists from Nottinghamshire Live.
It's great. Do you know? It's finger on the pulse. It's where I get all my information for the world is from Nottinghamshire Live.
It's hilarious. I tell you what, the last article that was like, hey, Games Workshop expansion, that was from here.
Yeah.
Because someone has a friend in the council offices, most likely.
Yeah. Or a friend at Games Workshop as well, one of the
like, I'm sure, like, Christ, like, what, like, everything being in Nottingham from Games Workshop must bring in so much money to the council.
Yeah.
Like, they will grant them a lot of... Because, what was there? There was I think it was a bike website, like an outdoor website, like not Go Outdoors, but something else that was really, really big. And they moved to a completely different part of the country because that council was like, hey, we can offer you like really good rates and we'll treat you right. And they were like, sweet. And just,
which is like films, isn't it? A lot of movies.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of movies given...
Loads of them are made in the UK because
we offer really
tax
good
write-offs and all that sort of stuff. And it keeps... You have really, really highly trained crews in the UK that are used to making all this stuff, and it keeps that all churning, and it brings in a crap load of money, even though with the incentives being taken off and all that sort of stuff.
Well, they did it, didn't they, with them? As soon as Series 1 of Fallout had done really well on Amazon, didn't like the California...
Yeah.
California, the state of California automatically offered a big tax break for them to come back and do season 2.
Yeah.
And then, funnily enough, within days, then season 2 was announced.
Yeah.
It was like,
So
it does work.
Yes, absolutely. Cause was it all of like loads of the Marvel films were all filmed in Georgia?
Yeah, that's right.
Because they offered
a lot
them
of stuff
loads
gets
of
filmed
stuff.
in Georgia. You see the Georgia peach will be at the end of a lot of movies and TV shows.
I rewatched the first season of Reacher, and that's conveniently set in Georgia.
Season 2 is set somewhere else, but looked like Georgia.
Yeah. And it'd be like, oh, and then I watched Gangs of London, and that's filmed in Georgia, but set in London. Brilliant. So it's great that loads of stuff is coming to the UK, but yeah, I can imagine Nottinghamshire Council, whether it be at the City Council or whatever, will be pretty keen. So there's some development news. So as far my very vague understanding of all the development at the Games Workshop factory is like, obviously since COVID, massive boom.
Yeah.
They made a second factory that was immediately at capacity, straightforward, like just straight
instantly,
away. Yeah. And they were like, right, we need some more. They've had a lot of stock issues, pre-orders and all that sort of stuff. People not being able to buy the product. Quite a lot of that was like last year.
Because not that long in the past that they built new warehouses up at East Midlands Airport, or near East Midlands Airport.
Yes, so there's East Midlands Parkway, I think it's called. There's a massive thing that's essentially attached to East Midlands Airport. That was a distribution centre, I believe. So you'd have the stuff. There's I see memes about it. There's the Warhammer lorry. I think they have other people that do it, but essentially there's one that's branded up that Games Workshop own, and it has Warhammer on it.
Yeah.
And people take the meme of, people are taking pictures of it on the M6.
Yeah.
And there's that scene from the first Fast and the Furious film where Paul Walker jumps onto the truck to save Vince's life. But they're like, oh, that's the one lorry that I do actually want to break into. So they superimpose the Warhammer truck into Fast and the Furious. So that happens, and there was the distribution issues because they got a load of robots and they weren't as good as humans. So the new Dante got released instead of the old one, and somebody had the foresight to build it and paint it before they said that it got leaked.
They went to work. That was brilliant.
Which was pretty hilarious. Another rumor that came out of it was they'd already built Factory 3, but then when they turned it on, because they're very close to the hospital, apparently they share the same power. So when they turned it on, the hospital was like, oh, we don't have enough power.
5 people instantly died.
Emergency mode. And again, this is all completely unubstantiated rumours that the council went, keep people alive or make toys. So
they went ahead to them Space Marines.
Yes. So now they have 3 factories. All our grandparents are dead.
But at least the Dark Angels got out, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's it. You'd be like, there was ample copies of the Lion, so it was fine. People don't need cancer treatment. They go to City Hospital anyway. They don't need Queen's Medical Centre. Right. Yeah, you don't need to teach those students. It's fine.
You'll be all right.
Yes.
Got books. What more do you want?
Exactly. So there was plans released on the hard-hitting journalist website, Nottinghamshire Live, I think, 6 months ago, that they were going to build another factory on the Lenton site. Mm-hmm. And then now we have more news. So expanding again. And this talks about paint manufacture,
which is quite interesting because we've always been quite accepting of the fact that the paint is done in Manchester.
So, I think it neither be confirmed or denied that a company that may or may not have letters H, G, and M in it. I've mixed them around, so you don't know. HMG manufacture the paint, and they just bottle it. At the plant. So, I mean, this is quite ambiguous. People that, I guess, know the industry like we do, like we know anything.
Figure right in that pulse for well known for.
Yeah. So it says, Games Workshop was real, fresh plans for a new Nottingham factory as part of its major city expansion. Blah, 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 blah. Lenton Business Complex. Record-breaking £494 million in revenue. And they're spending £9 million on a new factory at its Lenton headquarters, and it's specifically talks about paint manufacture. I don't think it will be making their own paint.
I don't think so either. I know Valrak. Now, they're a man with the finger on the pulse.
He does have, or he knows lots of people that have fingers on
absolutely
pulses.
Right. He seems to be under the assumption that there is a new paint brand coming, which is going to be aimed more at experienced painters. It may even well be dun 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 in a dropper bottle. Best get the Inquisition and even mention that. But that's what he's heard, and so I am utterly parrot fashion and good old Valrak here when I say that. But I don't think that requires a factory. Surely HMG are big enough, old enough, and ugly enough to be able to deal with a new string of paint. Could just cope with that. I can't see how it would be paint. Surely it might be, but it's not where I think Games Workshop is struggling.
No.
when you talk about, I can't go into when I went into Games Workshop, they never had X, Y, and Z on the shelf. X, Y, and Z never normally translates into, Caliban green, Mephiston red.
Because if there was a new paint range, like would they just would they just have the same colours?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
And then be like a different formula.
Yeah, that's what you would assume, because you're not going to start making.
Because that sounds like a weird thing to do.
Because you're not going to start making new colours for more experienced painters, are you? Because then you're going, well, hang on.
You'd be like, here's Mephiston Red Expert Edition.
Yeah,
and you'd be like, well, what was? And then you're saying that the other versions aren't very good.
Well, bearing in mind, if you use Mephiston as an example for a minute, it already exists in standard and in air.
Yes.
And they go, well, no, what?
And now we have Golden Demon Edition.
Yeah, it's
like, Daddy, what's Golden Demon? Oh, it's a painting competition years ago. I'll say to my children, yeah. But we all fucked it up by moaning about it.
and it went away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just be like, shh, we don't talk about Golden Demon anymore, child.
I did on a sidebar talking TarotModelMaker.com seems to be very happy that the new Golden Demons have improved, haven't they? He was saying that the paint doesn't come off
the physical model,
and
yes.
The bases seem to be nice.
What I loved, it was like he wouldn't have even thought so, but it was just like an unintentional humble brag, in that he was like, hey, like, I've won all these trophies. Quite often the quality's a bit shit. Like, I've seen people spraying them in the car park and gluing them together.
Yeah.
And like, I make plinths. It's my job. So quite often he might, fill some bits in, sand it, respray it, and then stick it back on. Fully understand.
The artisan that
and then, yes, where he's like, oh, this one, straight on the shelf, and videos him just going straight on the shelf with all my other demons.
And it made me laugh as well, because I know that room well. That they're in, and I was like, and I thought, and I don't think he was trying to do that.
No, not at all. But it was just sort of like, just hilarious. Just like, oh, this can go. This is such a good quality trophy that it can just go on with all my other golds and silvers and bronzes and all that. Yeah, it's hilarious. The wording from this article, now I found the correct bit. The new, upgraded and enhanced paint plant would be set up at Unit 18 of Easter Park, a business park across the road from the firm's HQ. And would play a role in the company's multi-year expansion plan, according to planning documents. Games Workshop's planners add that paint production was an integral part of its manufacturing. So, because they don't produce any paint currently, like they bottle it, but they don't actually produce any, I think. So the company would need to construct an area for its machinery, including a 3,000-litre tank for paint, fit new windows, doors, and more air conditioning.
That would assume that if you were to go by that would just sound a little bit like they were going to do away with their HMG contract, wouldn't it?
Maybe they're just going to do it in house. It'd be cheaper, probably.
Yeah,
maybe.
Which I always like. That always makes me a little bit sad, because I don't like the idea of potentially people losing their jobs. Or
no,
I mean, I know HMG don't just make paint for Games Workshop.
No.
But it'd be a real blooming kick in the pants to lose that contract.
Everybody generally goes to HMG for their paints anyway. They're like, big. You got Big Pharma and all your conspiracies. That HMG are big paint.
They are big paint
because they make Games Workshop paints.
Yeah,
they make Duncan's paints.
Oh, I thought Duncan's paints were made by.
I thought they made Duncan's paints.
Atlantis Games.
Well, yeah, Transatlantis Games. They bottle them.
Oh, do they? They bottle? Do they? They don't make.
Yeah, they don't make them.
Okay.
So, like, all these companies, I should say as well. They say we want these properties, and they test them, and they get the formula right.
Yeah.
But I guess it's such one of those real, like, I'm not saying like if you take Duncan's paints and Games Workshop's paints and just like they're not the same thing rebottled at all. And I think generally everybody knows that. But they are made in the same factory in Manchester.
Yeah.
But one goes to Workshop and the other one goes to that warehouse in Liverpool and gets bottled up and all that sort of stuff. So I believe they make the...
So they're a bit like that cornflake factory, wherever it is that puts cornflakes in about 12 different boxes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. It's like that. Yeah. So
yeah, they might look like this.
Yeah. So the company would need to construct an area for its machinery, including a 3,000 litre tank for paint, fit new windows and doors. Blah 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 blah. Planning agents said the vast paint vat and other machinery would need to be hidden behind a large 2.4 metre gate and security fencing. And wastewater.
Because I tell you what, I can't be surprised by that, because paint thieves, they've got to be the worst.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely terrible.
Just people climbing over in the night with big empty old Dulux cans.
Yeah. It's just, can you...
In overalls.
Just, I want to stand outside of Lenton in like a big trench coat and just open it and be like, do you want some off-the-shelf Mephiston Red? It's good stuff. Do you know what? In a massive bucket.
Do you know what I had an idea of that? You know, someone climbing over the wall and the other person being on the outside. You know, with the old siphoning with the...
Like they're taking petrol, filling up jerry cans.
Just got old repurposed bats on wheels.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be...
the security requirements for looking after your paint.
Yeah. Oh, that would be hilarious. Because I can imagine because if it's only the one 3,000 litre vat, maybe I imagine they maybe make all of one colour, 3,000 litres of it, and then swap to another colour. Yeah. So you don't, like, you're siphoning off your Mephiston Red, and then you go back and you're like, oh, I really hope it's McCrag Blue. Fuck, it's contrast paint this time. That'd be brilliant.
Or just again, you know, the young apprentice coming home, just like bright blue.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary, did you fall in the vat again? Yes, Mum.
Yeah. Oh, it's genius. So yeah, Games Workshop explained the building's offices were currently in use, but the industrial space inside was vacant. There are currently 13 people working inside the industrial unit, but planning documents suggest the new facility would provide 37 more jobs.
Right.
So, fitting out of the paint facility would reduce the number of car parking spaces by 17, leaving only 23 for workers. It's pending consideration, but I'm assuming it's going to go through. And there's an old blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so there we go. Open spring 2026.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be part of a 5-year or longer program of significant investment in machinery and infrastructure.
That wood yard facing Games Workshop still looks like its days must be numbered. They'll be in there before we know it, won't they?
Yeah. Like, I find it's... really, really interesting. Like those, there's like a timber merchant or something, or like there's the book sort of manufacturer thing as well across the road. There's like 2 businesses, and you just know that like Kev Roundtree, the CEO, must just like look out of his office, just like in a really sort of
looming manner.
Looming, that's the word. And he just yearns for their destruction, so they can just take over that entire road. And because there's so many like entry points,
just visions of him eventually just on the phone to his PA, who just sits outside and says, "Get me the Games Workshop Arsonist division."
Yeah.
We need the space over the road.
Yeah,
the ideal for them, because like I've said before, they could just bang a gate right at the beginning of that. Is that Willow Road?
Yes.
That's called?
Yeah.
Gate Willow Road off, and it's your whole GW empire.
Yes. So it's super interesting that this, like, I guess, far out from when COVID was, you know, they're putting plans in place to really up production. So they must be anticipating
the next one, which would be good for them if they could get all their printing back in house.
Yeah,
that would be good.
Because that's all China, isn't it?
China and some around the UK as well. I think when they need it in a bit of a hurry. So I think it's a bit of China and the UK.
Yeah.
So be interesting to see where that goes.
See what happens. Yeah. So I think there's growth plans in place. They're now, I think, is that sort of, and has been more so, that frustrating time of like, it needs to grow. We can't buy our toys. I've just gotten used to not buying Warhammer now.
I tell you what, I've noticed a little bit. I think stock's getting a bit better.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to Games Workshop after here, because I'm going to Warhammer World to put a load of me sprues in, because there's
Yeah.
nothing better than buying all that plastic and then giving it back for free, so they
Yeah.
can make more plastic and charge me through the backside for it. But the problem with sprues is just that you stick them in bin bags, they just rip bin bags open, and
Yeah.
it's just like, I'd rather
Yeah.
just drive in there and just
Yeah.
give them it all. So I'm gonna go in there and pop in there. But yeah, so yeah, back to their empire.
Yeah.
But yes, it's interesting to see how much. Oh, so yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I reckon if I drove there this afternoon, I think I could probably go in there, and I reckon I could probably buy a box of Hivestorm. I imagine it'll still be on the shelf.
Yeah.
I think so.
How long's that been out?
About 2 weeks now, is it?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
About 2
Yeah.
weeks. So, but I think I haven't heard the FOMO complaining
No.
as much as it is, and I think the 2 week
2-week pre-order. Yeah.
is helping that.
Yeah.
And also as well, it looks like they're starting to be a little bit less stingy with the friendly local gaming stores. Because I know
Yeah.
from speaking to our friends at Element, they said, "Oh no, our stock for Hivestorm's quite good."
Yes, because they
Not
were,
that Element ever really struggled, because they
No.
seem to have nailed it. but-
regardless of the reasons why and what people may or may not think that they are, they absolutely were limiting the stock allocation.
They were
to third-party sellers, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember, quite a few Element games, like, and fair play to Element Games as well, because you're essentially training people to not go to your website.
Yeah.
A few days before, when they get the stock, they'll be like, hey, like, we just don't have enough stock to put it online. It will go out in shops next week.
Yeah.
We're not even going to put it up for pre-order, because they'd have too many people try and buy it, and they would have sold copies that they just don't have.
Yeah.
So refund people, and it gives a bad experience,
Does
and
indeed, yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. So kudos for them for doing that. It's a shame that they had to, but it's
Yeah.
good that it's hopefully getting
Well, yeah.
sorted.
So I think it looks like stock's getting a bit better.
Yeah.
So
Because since I've sort of like all those sort of stock issues and stuff, and I've gone like, right, well, I'm not even going to try and get anything new.
Yeah.
And to be fair, not that much that's come out this year I've actually wanted to buy.
no.
I think Hivestorm was the first thing that I was like, ooh. But I didn't buy it because I like, it's a lot of money and I can't really afford it at the minute.
Yeah.
I absolutely will get the Kill Team starter box.
Yeah.
Because I want those 2 kill teams.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
And
And you don't
the
really need
rumours
to-
are to believe the price is not terrible.
Yeah. 65 quid I've heard.
Yeah.
Which is all right.
Which,
When you
for
consider
2
how
teams-
much, especially when you can, I know they push for teams, but
Yeah.
considering how much the price up is, which is gone up astronomically on kill teams now, especially because they come with all their own tokens.
Yeah, 40 quid.
Oh yeah, and even north of that as well for some of them. Yeah.
Like 42.50 or something.
Yeah.
Or- yeah.
Well, I'll tell you in about an hour and a half when I know. Yeah.
they're all gonna be
But
relaxed.
so they're going up.
I still want to get the Night Lords team. I need to get the Night Lords
Yeah,
team. Yeah.
I agree with that. But I think you don't need to own Hivestorm because I've bought it. Our friend Ross has got it as well, so
Yeah.
we'll be able to, because we are giving some thought to potentially playing it, aren't we?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So,
But
Yeah.
I'm like, push for time. I want to play more games. Like, just the scenery and everything all up together straight away is actually appealing.
and I tell you what, as well, the other thing as well, you have to give it to them. They're not because we didn't get round to this last week. They're not sitting on their laurels with regards to Kill Team, are they? The Kill Team went on sale on the Saturday, and then they had like a big announcement day,
Yes.
and then announced the contents of the next Kill Team.
Yes.
which
the
was-
orcs and the hobbitses.
which was a really interesting one for me because I was really like, yay! I now know what's coming next, but then I was
Yes.
like, boo! All of that thing about it all being jump packs for this season is completely nonsense.
Yes. Yeah. They
Which
fly
really
now?
did- No, they don't fly now, apparently.
Yeah.
Um,
Because like they've gone from sneaky orcs to big hammer we destroy tanks orcs.
In a game with no tanks.
Yes. Yes.
With the people who are the smallest people on the table, other
Yeah.
than Blubben.
Yeah.
Naglings.
The Ratlings, is that right?
Yeah, Ratlings, to give them the correct name. Who, to be honest, I think all the miniatures look great. Loads of character.
Yeah.
I love that they've all got food for stooned across their bodies.
Yeah.
And mugs of tea and things
Yeah.
like that. I love
Yeah.
all of that. I think they look great. I love the show exclusive miniature for next year being the two rattlings, one trying to get on with sniping something while his mate's desperately trying to shout about whether he wants a sausage.
What do you want, a sausage? Yeah.
I love it. It's got loads of character.
Yeah.
I will buy that. I wouldn't be surprised if I see that turn up at Golden Demon. That I can see that because it's just looks like people will just find that a nice quirky piece to work on.
Yeah.
So and I was like, oh, do I need rattlings? No, because I only try to, where possible, own kill teams where they are multifunctional.
Yeah.
My Arbites can be used in 40k. If I ever get around, there's a little group that, who bless them, have invited me a number of times. I'm struggling to find the time. Group which involves your friend and mine, Mr. Andrew Gibson.
Yeah.
He's in a Necromunda team, and my Arbites, I've got enough of them that I can field them as Palatine Enforcers.
Yeah.
I can field them in 40k, and I can field them in Kill Team, which is great because I feel like I get my money's worth out of them.
Yeah.
And then of the Vespids I'm keeping out of my box.
Okay, yeah.
Because I've got my Cruise army that is going to have everything except in it. So I'm going to use them for that. And then I will play them in Kill Team. I'm going to sell the Tempestus Aquilons or whatever they're called. Aquilons. I'm going to sell them because I haven't got an Imperial Guard army and I don't want an Imperial Guard army because half of this is like safety management, because if I buy them and then paint them, I go, I could just have a combat patrol. I could just have 1,000. So the next thing,
then you've got
I've
loads
got
of armies.
45 Lehman Russ,
You know,
and it's like not doing that. So I'm a bit like that with the next one. I was like, I like the idea of the scenery being these walls that add on to the existing game, which I quite like. And I don't mind getting the orcs because my youngest child's becoming an orc player.
Yeah.
So that's all right. And then I was like, oh, and I might just have the Rattlins as just a kill team because they're quirky.
Yeah.
And to be honest as well, the other thing that appealed to me as I looked and thought, they're not going to take long to paint, are they?
Because they're so bloody small, so you'll have to concentrate.
Just a dab of pink on the end of a brush. Well, that's the face done.
That's it. I think I'd be like, they're so small, I need to concentrate so much more.
Yeah,
and then I'd spend longer on them, probably.
The hobby goggles will be coming out.
Yeah.
You know, so I might be tempted with them because, like I say, I like the idea of more of the scenery as well. So we'll see. But I thought they were a nice little release, actually. Yeah. To be fair to Games Workshop, even though they are expensive, they really are doing their best to chew through the kill teams of getting them reboxed with the tokens and getting them back out on sale again and so on and so forth. So yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Oh, have we got anything else to?
I think that's kind of it, really.
I think it is. I think we've had quite a...
So hopefully Sophie's all right. Hopefully Golden Demon's all right.
Sophie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Sophie?
No, my cousin's boyfriend's been killed.
I've no connection to Warhammer very well, but they won't let me go.
Yeah.
I've started, when they go to the room and lock me in, I've started chewing my way through the wall. Just behind the sofa, they haven't noticed.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sophie. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. I don't. We're not taking a piss out of her. It's Games Workshop and all the managers that wrote that script.
Yeah. They need to have a bit of a word of themselves.
Oh dear. On that note, should we end it?
Yes. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe.
Yes.
Bell notifications to know when there's more of this nonsense out. If you are a Patreon, thank you for help keeping the lights on. If you're not a Patreon member, please consider it.
Oh yeah,
it helps.
Well, we
it
can
really does help.
It'd be like, this will be what the podcast will look like if we didn't have any patrons.
Go on. What would it look? Oh no, it would look like mayhem.
I'd destroy everything.
Yeah.
And then, where the fuck's the off button?